"You're trying to steal my money? Right here, in front of everyone?" my brother shouted across the courtroom. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. He was pointing at me like I was the criminal, like I was the one who had done something wrong. His smirk vanished the moment the clerk placed a folder on the judge's desk, and then the judge opened it, and everything changed. My name is Sabrina Clark. I'm 33 years old, and I work as a freelance graphic designer from a small apartment that I pay for entirely on my own. I'm the middle child in a family that never quite saw me. At every holiday dinner, every birthday, every family meeting about money, I was the one people talked over. My older brother Derek had the business degree. My younger sister Priya had the charm. I had neither, according to them. What I did have was student loan debt and a very quiet, very stubborn habit of writing everything down. I documented every payment I made, every email I sent, every dollar that moved between me and anyone in my family. They thought I was being paranoid. Turns out, I was being prepared. If you've ever been underestimated by your own family or doubted because of where you come from, hit subscribe. Share your story below. I read every single comment. Click hype if any of this sounds familiar. It started 3 years before that courtroom. My father passed away and left behind a modest estate. Not life-changing money, but enough to matter. There was also a personal loan I had given Derek 2 years earlier, $50,000, money I had saved over 6 years of long nights and skipped vacations. He had asked me to help him keep his business afloat. I said yes because he was my brother. He signed a document. I kept a copy. When the estate was being settled, Derek told the family lawyer that I owed him money, not the other way around. He said I had borrowed from him and never repaid. He said I had no claim to any portion of our father's estate because of this outstanding debt. I sat in that first meeting and listened to him say those words with total calm on his face, like he had rehearsed it. The family lawyer nodded along. My sister Priya sat 2 chairs down and didn't say a word to defend me. "You've never contributed anything to this family financially," Derek said during that meeting. "You don't deserve a cent. You've never earned anything." The lawyer cleared his throat and suggested I reconsider my claim. I looked around that room. No one met my eyes. I didn't cry. I took notes. The courtroom smelled like old paper and recycled air. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. I remember thinking how strange it was to be sitting there, in a formal setting, fighting for money I had already earned twice over, once when I saved it, and again when I lent it. Derek arrived with a folder of his own. He had printed bank statements, but the dates were wrong. He had an email thread, but it had been selectively cut. Priya sat in the gallery and whispered to a family friend, glancing at me with a small, satisfied smile. I kept my face still. Our family had used an older attorney for years, a quiet man named Gerald, who had watched the family dynamics shift over decades. He had reached out to me privately 2 weeks before the hearing. He didn't say much. He just told me to bring everything I had and to wait for the right moment. "The judge will see the pattern," Gerald told me. "Just don't flinch." Derek spoke first. He was confident. His voice filled the room. He described me as financially irresponsible, emotionally erratic, and someone who had borrowed heavily from family without repayment. He said the $50,000 figure I kept referencing was actually money I owed him from years of family support. The judge listened without expression. Then Derek said something careless. He referenced an email from 4 years ago where I had supposedly asked him for a loan. He described its contents in detail. I opened my folder. I placed my documents on the table in a neat stack. bank records, the signed loan agreement, a full thread of every email exchanged between Derek and me about that $50,000, including the one where he wrote, and I am quoting directly, "I'll pay you back with interest once the contract comes through." I handed the stack to the clerk without a word. The judge picked up the top sheet, then the next one. The room went quiet in a way that felt heavy, like everyone had stopped breathing at the same moment. "Mr. Clark," the judge said, looking at Derek, "this email you referenced does not appear to exist in this thread. Can you explain the discrepancy?" Derek opened his mouth, closed it. "There must be a different version," he said. "A different version of an email?" the judge asked. The courtroom murmured. Derek looked at Priya. Priya looked at the floor. I leaned forward slightly. "You thought I'd never kept track," I said quietly. "You thought I'd just let it go." The judge reviewed the loan agreement. He reviewed the bank transfer records that confirmed the exact amount and date. He noted aloud that Derek's presented documents contained inconsistencies in formatting and metadata that required further examination. Derek's claim was ruled invalid. My portion of the estate was protected. The $50,000 plus the interest Derek had promised in writing was to be repaid in full. The total came to just over $250,000 when combined with my rightful share of the estate. Gerald nodded once from across the room. That small nod meant more to me than anything said out loud that day. I walked out of that courthouse and stood in the afternoon sun for a long moment, not celebrating, just breathing. It felt like putting down something I had carried for years without realizing how heavy it was. Being overlooked didn't mean I was powerless. It just meant they underestimated what I could do when no one was watching. If your family has ever tried to take what was rightfully yours, you know exactly how humiliating that feels. Share your story in the comments below. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and click hype to help someone else who's been doubted find the courage to fight back. Standing up for yourself when the people closest to you are working against you is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. If you've been there, subscribe and join this community. Let me know this story helped by clicking hype and tell me where you're watching from. I genuinely love seeing how far these stories reach.